for any car. The more you use, the stronger the cleaning power becomes. $4.99 after sale price and 11% rebate. Get 11% off everything now at Menards. Good through May 8th. Savings are mail-in rebate. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Save big money at Menards.
Veterans, were you exposed to harmful burn pit smoke while serving overseas? The Department of Veterans Affairs has recognized and is providing benefits to veterans who suffer with asthma, rhinitis, and sinusitis as a result of burn pit exposure. If you served in the Southwest Asia Theater of Operations or Afghanistan, Uzbekistan, Syria, or Djibouti and suffer from any respiratory illnesses that you believe is a result of exposure to burn pits, contact the Montgomery County Veterans Service Commission at 937-225-4801.
People who suffer from long-term chronic joint pain spend so much of their time acting, putting up a carefree front. It's exhausting.
I was really tired of trying to act like I wasn't in pain because I was in pain all the time.
Rick Rawlings didn't want everyone else to know that he was coping with agonizing shoulder pain 24/7.
Yes, I had to put on a face to cover up my pain.
But then Rick found QC Kinetics, offering new lasting treatments for joint pain using natural biologics. Treatments designed to restore and repair joint tissue with no drugs, no surgery, no downtime. The results were amazing.
I am very glad. It changed my life doing the QC Kinetics. Today, my shoulders feel wonderful. The cranky Rick is gone. He's not grouchy anymore.
No more acting. Feel like yourself again with a call to QC Kinetics.
Call QC Kinetics, 937-936-0325. That's 937-936-0325. QC Kinetics, 937-936-0325.
He's a former Buckeyes great and now a college football Hall of Famer.
Look at him go! Something runs out of his shoe. He's running so fast.
And don't forget about his 13 years of NFL experience playing for the Eagles, Dolphins, Jets, and the New England Patriots.
Watch for the great block by Keith Byars on Pepper Johnson. Bam! Right there. Byars just failed.
He's Dayton's own Keith Byars. It's the Keith Byars Show, presented by Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken on Dayton's home of the Ohio State Buckeyes, 1410 ESPN Radio.
Welcome. You listen to the Keith Byars Radio Show, presented by Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken. The phone number to call is 937-518-1410. One more time, 937-518-1410. What a week we had. Well, the NFL draft was last week, and everyone, I'm sure, was excited about that. And, I'm giving it some time to breathe. And when was the draft? Last Wednesday? Was the NFL draft, and a lot of players' dreams did come true that night, and that's a time that you'll never forget. And when I came out, 1986, many moons ago, we didn't have draft over 3 days. We only had it over 1 day. So the draft started at 8:00 in the morning, and it ended somewhere around midnight or thereafter. And then after midnight on the East Coast, all the teams would scramble and make phone calls all night long or early in the morning the next day to sign their free agents. Guys, I didn't get drafted. And now all of a sudden I got 5 or 6, 10 teams that really love me and they want me to sign with them. And so it was like a whole new world. And teams used to be, scrambling almost as busy as draft day to get their unrestricted, undrafted free agents signed and bring them into camp. And back in those days, you could bring in as many people as you want. Justin would probably like to hear this because the Cowboys brought in more players than any other team in the NFL looking for that diamond in the rough. That's when the Cowboys were doing real scouting, and they was trying to find something, and it worked really well for Dallas. They found a undrafted free agent by the name of Everson Walls, who turned into, in my opinion, should be a Hall of Famer, one of the best defensive back in the history of the Cowboys, and he was an undrafted player out of Grambling University, and the Cowboys took a chance. But and I think the Cowboys used to go to training camp with at least 120, 130 players. Now, I think, Justin, you only bring 85 or 80 players in the camp, 80 in the training camp.
Maybe a little more now because of COVID, but yeah.
Right, but that was somewhere between 80 and 90 players because of COVID, but it was 80. It was a hard 80. And when I was with the Eagles, we used to bring in 95, 100, little over 100. And I was like, yes, more bodies, less reps for me, as far as some of the heavier stuff. But, they just still, Buddy Ryan was just making sure the starters got our fair share. That affected the other guys' snaps. But we were about ready, to get ready for the season. But the draft, that's the most important thing right now, this time of the year. I call it the honeymoon season because you get married on draft day to the team that you got drafted to, or you signed as an undrafted free agent, and now everything is Shangri-La. It's, oh man, so you got the next 3-4 months to just be, wow, man, I got drafted, and it's intoxicating. The rest of April, I was draft pick. All of May, all of June, and most of July until you go to training camp. It's, wow, we got it. It feels really good. And then middle of July, early August, when training camp is in full bloom, now the rubber meets the road, and you see what we drafted. And I'm talking about all NFL teams. You see what you drafted and how good is this player. He's better than advertised, or sometimes not as good as advertised. And we're going to have some problems with this guy. But that's the beauty of the draft. And so every team is overjoyed of their draft picks. Some teams, sometimes they oh man, I wish we could have got so-and-so. Not so happy about this pick. I'm talking about from the fan standpoint. The front offices, all the messages are the same. You can get on the internet and read all the messages. Everybody, every year, drafted who they thought they were going to get. They were happy to have him there with the 5th pick or the 3rd round and all that kind of stuff. And it's all, but it's all, I ain't gonna call it a smoke screen totally, but that's kind of PR 101. Put a good quality, good spin on your draft because you want the fan base to feel good about what you drafted. Like I said, it's the honeymoon time. Football, and there's not a game this Sunday, next Sunday, or a few more Sundays from now. And it gives you something to talk about and something to feel good about. But from the player perspective, hey, it's intoxicating. Hey man, now you're a week after the draft, and you're sky high. And that was certainly been the case for some Buckeye players. And I was glad to see the Buckeye players. We had 2 first rounders. I felt there should have been 3. I think the 2 first rounders, number 10, well, that was my number. I was a 10th pick of the 1986 draft to the Philadelphia Eagles. And this year, the 10th pick of the NFL draft in 2022 is Garrett Wilson to the New York Jets, another East Coast team. I think Garrett Wilson is going to do outstanding in New York as long as he get a quarterback and get him the ball. So, this is Zach Wilson. Zach Wilson, quarterback for the New York Jets. Hey, you got a shiny object. Not just a shiny object. He's not just sparkly. He's the real deal Holyfield. You got a guy you can throw the ball and you can trust. And, he has a catch radius out of this world. A catch radius, you don't have to just hit him high and tight on the number. It could be low. It could be high. It could be wide. You could be right on him, and he's going to make that catch. That's what you're looking for in a receiver. Make the quarterback look good. Make him look good because a lot goes on with the quarterbacks. You got bodies falling around. You guys trying to tear your hair off, and you got to step up and make a big throw. That's why you get paid the big bucks. So, Zach, you got somebody who's going to help make you look good, and he's, so it's a two-way street. Y'all make each other look good. Some 2 young players that can grow together. So that was number 10. The number 11 Ohio State pick, New Orleans Saints said, hey, New Orleans Saints, we almost call them the New Orleans Buckeyes, which is good. That's why the Saints are somewhere in the playoffs or around the playoffs every year because they draft Buckeyes. They recognize. And Chris Olave, the 11th player pick, the 2nd wide receiver taken from Ohio State, the 3rd wide receiver overall, going in the first round. And Chris Olave, I said before the draft, whoever drafts him, they probably still underestimating how great a route runner this guy is. And I've been on record to say, and I've asked different Buckeye players and receivers from Ohio State over the years, and I said, has Ohio State had a better route runner at this stage of his career, while he was at Ohio State than Chris Olave? hear me loudly, correctly. I didn't say he was the best wide receiver Ohio State ever had. I don't get into that part. But I'm talking about when I say the best route runner, I'm talking about the wide receiver route tree. That means, how do you run the quick out? How do you run the slant? How do you run the comeback? How do you run the post? How do you run the corner? How do you run the go route? How do you, excuse me, how do you run the square in, the deep out? All those type of routes. And of course, somebody like Randy Moss, he's going to run the deep route, the 9 route, better than he's going to run the comeback or the square in. Not that those guys not that, your top end receivers cannot run all the routes on the route tree, because they certainly do. But you have certain routes you're better at. And certain routes you're great at, and some other ones you try to stay away from. Someone like a Chris Carter, you're not going to run Chris Carter on 9 routes, the deep route all night long. That's just not who Chris Carter was. He didn't have blazing speed, but that's just one thing he had. But what did he have? A ton of things. Great hands, great physicality, great athleticism to go up and get the ball, catch the ball at the high point. So all of those things. So you got pluses and minuses and everything. And the only drawback as far as, that Chris Olave has is, he's not the most physical receiver, but that's not running routes, where I said he's the best route runner. And he is so smooth and effortlessly runs those routes in and out of transition. And he's been that way as a freshman and got better every year. So Chris Olave, feels good to be the number 11 player picked in the draft, first rounder. Another Buckeye, number 12, Jameson Williamson. Hey, wait a minute, Keith. He doesn't go to Alabama. He went to Alabama. He transferred. Yeah, it technically doesn't count for Ohio State, but it does count for Ohio State in my book. And Jameson Williams, you had 3 wide receivers in the same room, all go in the first round, 10, 11, and 12. Big news. But with Jameson Williams went to Alabama, they can have that on their resume. But just like LSU is going to take Joe Burrow on his resume, which, you have to put it that way. But he graduated from Ohio State, but he's still LSU, and he can be both. So, Jameson Williams, hey, we still love you here in Buckeye Nation. So we understand you went to Alabama for whatever reason why that was your choice, but you could have stayed at Ohio State and still been a first rounder. But nonetheless, that was still good. Good on you. And the other first rounder I thought Ohio State should have had was Nicholas Petit-Ferre. I've been watching this kid since he was in high school. I've been knowing him, ever since he got to Ohio State. Even before he got to Ohio State, I know who he was. Have some mutual friends from down in the Florida area that knew about him. They was, Keith, you got to see this guy. So I've been watching Nicholas Petit-Ferre a long time. And, he didn't go in the first round. That's okay. We win the second round. And he's going to have an outstanding career, at Tennessee. So I'm looking forward to seeing him play the offensive lineman. Like my high school coach used to say, nobody loves the offensive lineman except their mothers and the head coach. Everyone else is conditional love. But, hey, I love Nicholas Petit-Ferre anyway, so good for him. The other Buckeye that got drafted in the middle rounds was Jeremy Ruckert, our tight end. He is my sleeper pick out of all the Buckeyes that would have the best, rookie year, second year. Jeremy Ruckert, I've watched him, his whole career at Ohio State, and he was underutilized at Ohio State. Not all his fault. I mean, he had so many great weapons. It's only one football, and we had great running backs while he was there. And he's unselfish, just a great teammate to have. And he's going back to his team that he grew up watching, my old team, the New York Jets. So he's a Long Island kid, and he's a lifelong Jet fan, and he get drafted in late in the third round. Outstanding. Jeremy Ruckert, you talk about tight end. He can catch the ball. He can block. He can run after the catch. I think he would surprise a lot of teams this year. A lot of teams, especially, now that the Jets have some help outside with his teammate, Garrett Wilson, and he's going to get a chance to be in, continue what they had going on at Ohio State. Yeah, and if they throw the ball to Jeremy Ruckert, look out. Then he would probably be all rookie at tight end, especially in the AFC. I'm looking for big things out of Jeremy Ruckert if he stays healthy and they use him the right way. I think Jeremy can be really special. Tyreek Smith, he got a defensive end from Ohio State. Hey, shout out to Coach Larry Johnson, another defensive lineman that he's putting in the league. He got drafted in the 5th round to the Seattle Seahawks. I think Tyreek Smith can fit in good there. And last pick that from Ohio State in the 7th round, I was shocked that he slid down that low, was Thayer Munford. He was going to the Las Vegas Raiders in the 7th round. I think I know he can make that team and improve their offensive line even more. They got a solid offensive line, but line out there in Oakland, well, I still want to say Oakland, Las Vegas Raiders. But I think Thayer Munford will add to it because he has versatility. He can play left tackle, right tackle, left guard, right guard. And you continue to make yourself valuable. You will be in the league for a long time. And I think Thayer Munford can be one of those guys, as long as he continues to improve. And I have another draft pick, not from Ohio State, but a family member of mine. My uncle who lives in Pittsburgh, his grandson. So he's my cousin. He went to Yale, so he's smart. And he's in the family line, so he got some of his brains from me. We're all in the same gene pool, so Byars is smart people. So my little cousin, he's 22 years old, my little cousin. But Rodney Thomas, out of Yale University, he got drafted in the 7th round to the Indianapolis Colts, and so I can't wait to see young cuz get at it. And now he's going to make. When that's full disclosure, my son he grew up a Indianapolis Colts fan. He didn't follow the Eagles, the Dolphins, the Patriots, or the Jets. No, he's still my son. So my son grew up a Peyton Manning fan because by the time Peyton Manning was coming to his own, I was retired. And, my son only knew me from highlight films as far as his team. So he never really got into the Eagles or the Dolphins, even though we lived in Florida, and the Patriots and the Jets. He just liked the Indianapolis Colts. And so he would be excited that his cousin is going back to play for one of his favorite teams. And so he's going to be watching the Indianapolis Colts. I would be a quasi Colts fan as long as my cousin is on it. So I'm probably had to make a few trips over to Indianapolis. Hopefully this year he makes the team. I'll be watching them play as well. So just a personal shout out to my cousin. So watching, he's a safety at Yale, so you're not going to trick him. He's smart. So I think he has a good chance, to make that team. So I talked to him, on draft day. He got drafted on Saturday, 3 days of the draft. Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And he was, over the moon. And I was like, cuz, remember this day. You're going to remember it for the rest of your life. So enjoy it. Have a wonderful day. Because here, I've been drafted. What has that been? How many years? 32 years ago? And I still remember my draft day like it was yesterday. I really do. So all the players that got drafted from Ohio State, from Yale, feel good about it. Feel good about it because it's special. Like I said, it's the honeymoon. It's the wedding. And you're on the honeymoon now. Enjoy it. Don't let nobody damper your draft status. Oh, yeah, I thought you was going to go higher. Or you didn't get drafted out. That doesn't matter. You got called. You got your name called and you got signed to a team. If you didn't get drafted, your dreams come true because the NFL draft is for the athletes and it's for their dreams come true. Who doesn't play football at some point, before you got to college and then decided, I never dreamed about getting drafted. I never thought about getting drafted. Everybody's thought about getting drafted. If you played football and you had aspirations to go professional one day, you dreamed about that day happening last week. And it happened for however many players was drafted, and nobody's going to rain on your parade. So yeah, it's a special time you got drafted. So I'm going to take a break. Yeah, we're going to do something different. I'm going to have a Lee's Famous Recipe bucket of questions for Byars, for fans that have wrote it in and want to get their questions read, because sometimes some of you guys get shy. So you don't always call, but you have questions and I got answers. So we're getting that more after the break. You listen to the Keith Byars Radio Show, presented by Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken.
It's the Keith Byars Show, presented by Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken, right here on Dayton's home of the Buckeyes, 1410 ESPN Radio.
At McAfee, they're more than just an air temperature company. They're an air quality company. Breathe easy. Choose McAfee.
Cutting the price of your wireless bill feels good. Really good. Actually, it feels great. You should try it out. So cut your bill by switching to Straight Talk Wireless. Now offering our $45 Silver Unlimited plan with 5 gigabytes of hotspot and nationwide 5G on America's largest, most dependable networks. The $45 Silver Unlimited plan from Straight Talk. Straight Talk Wireless. No contract, no compromise.
A month equals 30 days. See terms and conditions at straighttalk.com. 5G capable device required. Actual availability, coverage, and speed may vary.
Your first house. It looks a little different for everyone. For some, it's a place to gather. For others, a place to rest. And for others, it's a place that was a place to rest or gather until they built a stadium 2 blocks away, and now all you hear is a roaring crowd or someone asking if you're ready to rock. No, you are not ready to rock. But no matter where you call home, Geico makes it easy to bundle and save on home and car insurance. Easier than trying to drown out 40,000 people by speaking really loudly.
Ready to make your family meal famous? Just stop by Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken for the 16-piece family meal at a great price. You'll get 16 pieces of our classic Famous Recipe Chicken that's fresh, never frozen. It's honey-dipped, hand-breaded, and pressure-cooked to perfection, along with 4 of our large sides and 8 fluffy biscuits. This is the family meal upgraded. Get the meal with the most when you try our 16-piece family meal at a great price. Only at Lee's. Famous for chicken.
Hand me that nail gun. Here you go. And here's the fries. Lunch. Who's hungry? You know, maybe instead of loading up a nail gun with French fries to feed the crew, we should just order lunch through Easy Cater. Food from all our favorite restaurants. My bad. On time and as ordered. Delicious. Huh. Load up the hot dogs while I think about it.
Some food just doesn't work at work, but Easy Cater just does. Food for work on time and as ordered from over 85,000 restaurants. Order 24/7 at EasyCater.com.
Ray Magliozzi here for eBay Motors. You're driving along and some nimrod cuts you off. You hit the horn. Jeez, it sounds like a goose in distress. Time to head over to eBay Motors. They have horns for every make and model, not to mention horn pads, steering wheels, wiring, and more. 122 million parts. You can even go for an upgrade. Looks like Mr. Cutoff Man needs a new seat cover. Try eBay Motors, pal. Get the right parts at the right prices. eBay Motors. Let's ride.
Don't put it off any longer. You know it's time. Time for a bathroom upgrade by Bath Creations. Bath Creations is a leader in bathroom renovations, providing the very best value in bath and shower remodeling, and proudly made in the USA. With Bath Creations, you get a beautiful modern bathroom that's safe, comfortable, and affordable. Attention first responders, veterans, and active military. Save $500 off your purchase right now. Visit Poe Avenue in Dayton or online at mybathcreations.com. And upgrade today.
Hi, I'm Sales Manager Jason High at Germain Honda Beaver Creek, proud recipient of the prestigious President's Award. We are your local Honda dealer, and we invite you to see our newly renovated state-of-the-art facility. You'll be amazed at our selection, and remember, all new Hondas come with a lifetime powertrain warranty. Visit us at Route 35, just east of 675, conveniently located near Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. Germain Honda Beaver Creek, the right car, the right price, the right way. I'll see you soon.
Happy Mother's Day from the Flower Man. This year for Mom, we have beautiful, cutable arrangements at $12.99 and a dozen roses for only $12.99. Inconceivable. Thank you, Flower Man, and thank you, Mom. Roses, arrangements, and flowers from all over the world for Mom. Go to flowermanflowers.com. That's flowermanflowers.com.
Cordell Transportation is now hiring Class A CDL drivers. $5,000 sign-on bonus. That's right, $5,000 sign-on bonus. Home daily dedicated lanes, no touch freight. Apply today at CordellTransportation.com. Cordell Transportation, driven to succeed.
When it comes to your credit card, Discover believes in having real people available 24/7 to help answer your questions. Discover, exceptionally common sense.
It's the Keith Byars Show, presented by Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken, right here on Dayton's home of the Buckeyes, 1410 ESPN Radio.
Welcome back. I'm all the way up. You're listening to the Keith Byars Radio Show, presented by Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken. Phone number is 937-518-1410. Like I said before the break, we got the Lee's famous recipe bucket of questions for Keith Byars, and we're gonna be doing that. Not this summer. It's not summer yet, but late spring and summer, we're going to get in questions. So you guys don't get an opportunity to call in, but you want to send your questions in. Hey, I'll take them and read them online, and I'll answer your questions. So here's the first question. Justin Kenner, what do we have?
So the first question coming in for today's edition of the Lee's Bucket of Questions. With everything going on right now with name, image, and likeness, and you hear almost about these bidding free agent wars, if you will, do you have an issue with the landscape of college athletics now that NIL has taken over?
Well, the only issue I have that didn't start 40 years ago, 50 years ago. This is something we've always talked about. It seemed to be like a pipe dream in the sweet by and by. We might get to it one day. And it's almost, equivalent to in my lifetime when I, from a child and even into adulthood, I was hoping one day we'd have a black president, in my lifetime. And didn't know if it would ever happen, but it did happen in 2008 when Barack Obama was, first black African-American president. And I was like, one of these days, we'll sure wish they start paying college players, giving them something, some kind of wage, something. You can't come up with something that's better than nothing. And they came up with a big something. And I don't even know if it's a big thump something. Let's just call it something, because we're talking over 100 years of college football or college athletics with no pay. And we know how that landscape has changed over the last 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, 50, 100 years. Has that changed? So it's long overdue. So I'm very excited about that. So I love the NIL.
Keith, if you were an NFL free agent today, and by the way, if you're just tuning in, it's the Lee's Bucket of Questions here on the Keith Byars Show, presented by Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken. Keith, if you were an NFL free agent today and you could pick any team to play for in 22, which team would you want to play for?
Philadelphia Eagles. Yeah, I started my career in Philadelphia. Ended it technically. I signed a one-day free agent contract with the Philadelphia Eagles. I love Philadelphia. I just was there. Just got off a plane this morning from Philadelphia. I love the area. I love the fan base. I love it, everything about it. And if things would have worked out, I would have played my whole career in Philadelphia. So I have no regrets. So Philadelphia Eagles.
Question number 3. Which sport is the worst sport to be a fan of a last place team? Losing stinks, but Kevin and I talked about this on our show the other day. For me, it's baseball, because it's such a long season, and even if your team loses so much like the Reds are doing, sure, they may get the number 1 overall draft pick, but you won't see that guy for another 3 or 4 years, so it's not instant gratification. If your team's really bad in the NFL, yes, it stinks watching your NFL team be bad, but at least you get that instant gratification of come draft time, you at least get that sense of excitement. There's at least other areas to kind of gain some kind of feel good, if you will. In your opinion, which sport is the worst sport to be a fan of a last place team?
Well, that's a good question, and you didn't give me these questions. I'm hearing them cold right now, and my gut was going to agree with you and say baseball, because it is such a long season. But I'm going to go another way. I'm going to say hockey, because first off, hockey, you're the big 4. If it was the big 3, we wouldn't talk about you. So you're the big 4. You're like, who are the 4 major sports? And everybody spits out football, basketball, baseball, and then they, was it golf? Is it hockey? Is it tennis? So, and it's by hair, it's hockey. And what further strengthens it, this past, what's today, Thursday? Tuesday night, I went to my 3rd hockey game of my life. I was in Reading, Pennsylvania, and I watched, I forgot, I don't even know, I can't remember the Reading, whatever their team is. They're in the playoffs in like the minor league of hockey. And the stadium, wasn't full. And it's a local team, but wouldn't even have 4. But it was a playoff game, and they had a chance to to close out. But it was fun. I love being there. I did chuck a puck, in between the periods. You was trying to win. I think it was $10,000 cash. We chucking pucks on the ice. This is my 3rd hockey game. I've loved all 3 of them. So I'll go back and watch hockey. But if you're a hockey fan, nobody knows your pain, because your team is in last place and they don't even know you. So that's worse. At least in baseball, when you're in last place, people know you're hurting. If you're a Cincinnati Reds fan, well, I know you're a fan and they can feel your pain, but when nobody doesn't feel your pain, I think it's a little worse.
The Reading Royals.
That's what it was, the Reading Royals.
All right, so question number 4 for this edition of Lee's Bucket of Questions on the Keith Byars Show. How much better do you believe the Buckeyes defense will be under new defensive coordinator Jim Knowles?
Well, I'm going to answer that question this way. How much better? We're going to talk about percentages. So will they be 5% better, 10% better, 50% better, 100% better, or even 200% better? You know, I'm going to say they will be initially at least 90% better. You know, and it's easy. That's, 100% would be Georgia's defense. I think they got a chance to flip the script from the anti-Georgia defense. That's what they were last year. I'm not trying to be cold-blooded, but you look at last year's season from beginning to end, pull up your tapes. How many times did Ohio State defense go 3 and out? Get off the field. 3 and outs, punt. You see those stats. The offense is struggling. They had 2 straight 3 and outs and one drive. They had 5 plays. Our defensive stat line, it was like everybody moved the ball on us, no matter the opponent. Whether we're playing Oregon, Akron, Michigan, Nebraska, everybody moved the stats. And my biggest stat on defense is points. I care about points. I care about, yards allowed and sacks and all this stuff, but keep them off the scoreboard, number one. So I want to see that number come down where we don't have to score 30 points a game to win. I want us to, be a defense that holds teams under 20 points. That's not asking a lot. With the talent that we have. Average. You'll have your outliers where you gave up 24 or maybe even 30 as an exception. But how many times did we give up 30 points last year? The Rose Bowl, we gave up 40. So we could average somewhere between 17, 18, maybe 19 points a game and give our offenses, because our offense is going to be explosive. That would be the biggest stat line. Then, how many sacks we had and this, that, and the other. Our number one stat is points allowed. If we can get that under 2 touchdowns, 15, 17 points a game, we're going to, you might as well crown us national champs if we can do it. And that's what Georgia was this past year. They had they had 5 players selected in the first round, not one DB, not one corner. That front 7 was awesome. And the Buckeyes, it starts in the trenches. And so, I'm not worried about Larry Johnson defensive line. I'm more concerned about our back end, our linebackers, and our defensive secondary.
Yeah, this draft was interesting. Haven't heard a Buckeye defender be called in the first round for a few years now. You started with Denzel Ward. You had both Bosa brothers, Chase Young, Jeff Okudah from the 2020 draft. But back-to-back drafts where a Buckeye has not gone in the first round on the defensive side of the ball. Number 5 and the final question here for today's Lee's Bucket of Questions. Ohio State Athletic Director Gene Smith proposed that FBS leagues should operate under the umbrella of the College Football Playoff with their own set of rules to separate from the NCAA. Do you agree?
Yes. I think that's a good deal. So basically what he's saying, let the Power 5 have their national championship and the non-Power 5 have their national championship. I've been saying that for the longest. So, I'm finally somebody stepped up and said it out loud. Gene Smith is a great athletic director, and he's not by himself. He's not the only one saying that. So that's not Gene Smith, shooting from the hip wildly. He's had behind the door conversations with other athletic directors, and they feel the same way. I'm friendly. Hate to even say it, but I know we tease each other all the time with the athletic director at Michigan. Ward. We've been friends and we talk from time to time, and saw him at the Big Ten Championship. And we've had those discussions at different golf tournaments over the years too. So I know, he feels, Ward Manuel feels that way as well as quite a few other athletic directors. So hopefully one day we'll let it be. Earlier we talked about the NIL deals. Maybe we'll have the multiple national championships. So the Central Floridas, the Kent States, OU, the MAC conference, they will have something, to feel just as loud or proud about as well. And now hopefully that will maybe cut down some of these bowl games. Mm-hmm. So all these games will be meaningful and must-see TV to watch. that being said, I think we're running out of time. But hey, I like that. We're going to do more of that, over the next couple of weeks and months of the summer. But in the meantime, I'm sorry, I got to go. I'm up against the time, and, we got bills to pay. But again, you've been listening to Keith Byars Radio Show, presented by Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken. I'll be back again very, very soon. And do me a favor, get out and do random acts of kindness for your fellow man. Have a great day.
WYNG 1410 Dayton, Dayton's ESPN Radio.